You're listening to another presentation of Little Misrepresentation by Amplitude Media Group. And I'm your host, Melanie Waldman. Today, we celebrate the last 10 years of the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge. But first, here's a little bit of background. I myself, your host, I've been competing in the Disability Film Challenge since the year 2017, and a very humble brag and overshare, I have been a winner of the Best Awareness Campaign on 2 winning teams in both 2019 and 2022. My next guest is the creator of the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge himself, Nick Novicki. Nick is an incredible advocate for our community, both on screen and off. He's a member of SAG-AFTRA, and you'll hear all about how he originated the challenge and where that idea came from just in a moment. But first, I wanted to let you know that he just had his most recent role in Across the Spider-Verse as the voice of Lego Spider-Man. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode. Welcome to the show, Nick.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much for being here. This is such a cool day. I've been participating, as you know, for years, and this is kind of our first one-on-one opportunity to chat. So this I'm really taking full advantage of because you've had some great news come out. But tell me a little bit about you and the origin of Disability Film Challenge.
Hey, how you doing? I am Nick Novicki. I'm a little person wearing a blue shirt. Got a little bit of scruff on my face. I'm an actor, comedian, and producer. But early on in my career, I realized that, look, I'm 3'10", and if I wanted to play the kind of roles I wanted to play, I was going to have to learn how to produce and create as much as I can on my own. That ultimately ended up leading to a lot of jobs for me. I've been in over 40 TV shows and movies, but the majority of that was self-driven with me writing and producing and creating. And so 10 years ago, I looked around, I was like, why aren't more people with disabilities creating their own content? So I created the Disability Film Challenge, which is a 5-day filmmaking competition where you need to have somebody with a disability in front of or behind the camera. And it kind of kept growing year after year. And in 2017, I partnered with Easter Seals Southern California. It's now the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge. And we have over 600 films that have been created, including unbelievable filmmakers such as yourself.
Thank you very much for saying that. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a really great opportunity. I went to school for journalism, like I've shared before, but I hadn't really taken my theater background and put it in front of the camera as well. All of a sudden, I acquired my disability right after I graduated and was like, how do I get back into the world of theater? And I don't know if you knew this, but Rachel Handler is actually from the next town over. We grew up in the same area. So I heard, it's just like such a small world, right? You never know. But I'd heard that
I love that.
Yeah, she was in the area and somebody recommended that we meet, and we did. And I was so interested in how she kind of developed her career into like a Hollywood sphere from theater. And she'd said, she was thinking about doing a film. And we decided that year to start up, and we made 3 films, in the years later.
Yeah, it's incredible. First of all, I love the story of you coming into your skill set and also the community of the disability community through the lens of Rachel Handler. And, she being somebody else with a disability with one town over. That's something that I think is really unique and also something that's very universal and that's happened throughout the challenge. Because really, when we talk about disability, we talk about 1 in 4 Americans have a disability. So there's so many different people that have a disability. And so with the challenge, this is all about being public. It's not about making a film and then locking it in a vault and maybe you're going to get it into a festival. It's about owning your disability. It's about saying, I entered the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge. It's about sharing it online. It's about posting and saying, who wants to be part of my team? And then, oh, wait a minute, there's this talented actor 1 town over. And, and then it's like we get these super teams that kind of form. So I think that there's been so much support.
Absolutely.
Because, that's the thing about it, too. It is very, very competitive, because there are a lot of, grants and prizes and mentor meetings. But on the flip side, it's like we are going to hire each other. And we are this community that is so supportive. And I've felt so much support since I started it. And honestly, I thought it was going to be a one-off competition. And right away, like the amount of support and just the passion from the industry, but also the disability community just propelled it really to the next level.
I do want to say congratulations to you because I'm not going to spoil anything, but you entered the MCU officially. Congratulations.
It is pretty crazy. I got the unbelievable honor of voicing a character in Spider Man Across the Spider Verse. So it is really an honor. I hope you all see it. I don't want to give away all the details of my character. It is. You can see it on IMDb, so then you find it yourself. Uh, but I hope you see it in the theater. And on that note, too, which is so cool, Danielle Perez, who's also a disabled actress and a comedian, she is, and it's been, announced several places, but she plays Sun Spider, a disabled character within the MCU. MCU, I feel like I'm saying it wrong. Within this movie, ultimately, I guess anything in this movie is in the MCU.
Ultimately, the movie within the MCU.
So she ends up playing this character, and I gotta give a huge shout out to Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who really credited the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge as inspiring them to create this role for her, and then also to cast authentically. And she's just such a rock star. And then that exciting that exciting piece of me being able to be a character came. But it's really it's spreading industry wide. We're seeing more and more jobs that are coming to film challenge participants and talented people with disabilities that work in front of and behind the camera. And so I'm feeling very optimistic about the future. But I gotta say, I'm very excited. And personally, for me, I've been a comedian and an actor for over 20 years, so this was definitely a milestone in my life too. Aside from the milestone of the film challenge.
Absolutely. I mean, what a way to celebrate the way your own career has grown, even with the Disability Film Challenge almost side by side. Do you feel like that's kind of a mirror to that at this point? Is that kind of something you're like, wow, it's not just the other people I'm helping in the community, like this is helping you as well? That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I feel so honored, and I feel so honored that ultimately the challenge is leading to all these opportunities for people with disabilities, and specifically film challenge participants. The Casting Society of America shares our films widely to casting directors around the world. And look, when I'm able to continue to advance my career as well, that is exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting for us to see, even as competitors. I mean, it's exciting to see just not only you, but also seeing other judges, other mentors at Lolo in the Sex Lives of College Girls. I mean, just seeing people go from making a short film that's 5 minutes long and has one person on the team who has a disability, and then they go to Sundance, and then they're at there's a Golden Globes presentation you were just at, who are big supporters of the competition. I mean, it's beyond widespread. It's wildfire.
Yes, and I got to give a huge thank you shout out to the Golden Globe Awards. We have been honored to get their support, and they just gave us a grant at a Hollywood Reporter Raising Our Voices Summit, and it was incredible. I received recognition through the film challenge, and they presented a grant. And not only did they present a grant to the challenge, they also presented grants to Chrissy Marshall, who is the director of Rain in My Head and producer and writer, who won 2 awards, and also Josie Scott, who was nominated for Best Actor for Smash or Pass, received a grant and recognition. So and this was all surprise. I just thought, we were invited just to hang out and get an opportunity to network. And, the Golden Globe Awards have been immensely supportive of the film challenge. And so I thought we just had the honor of getting an invite to this cool luncheon. And then all of a sudden they start talking about the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge. And next thing I know, I'm like, wait a minute, what? I'm looking at my wife, Teal, and they were like, come on down. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh. And, by living, I mean, I've been a comedian for over 20 years. So generally, I don't get kind of like, I don't know what to say.
I don't think I've ever seen you get caught off guard. So just, I feel like I want a recording of this.
Yeah, I'm exactly. I mean, that's what, that's what I bring to the table usually is I've been over 20 years. That's what I've done for a living. And really since I was a kid. So in that moment though, I just was very like, wait, what? And I get up there and it was a really, incredible moment, and, I was emotional. I was like almost about to start crying. I gave the president of the Golden Globe Awards, Helen, a hug, and I was like, I don't know what to say, and so I'm like, I just start kind of joking. I was like, I feel like I won a Golden Globe, and I.
I mean, they've had you as a presenter. I feel like when I see you in the media like that, at presentations and things like that, I'm like, oh my God, that's Nick. And even in the movie theater, I said it, and I was like, everybody probably heard me just say, oh my God, during Spider-Man. But that was just still such a cool moment. What is something that you foresee for the growth of the Film Challenge as we move forward?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's exceeded any expectation that I would have had for the growth of the film challenge. As I said, that first year, I was like thinking specifically for disabled friends that always ask me questions. How did you put your team together? Or how do you get these productions? Because I was always producing my own web series and indie features and stuff where I could be that gangster character. I could be that romantic lead, and so, really, Dell has been a sponsor since year one. SAG-AFTRA has been, supportive since the beginning. But the sponsors kept growing year after year. I got to give a huge thank you, shout out to Easter Seal Southern California, because that definitely really helped, elevate the challenge, and gave credibility. But, now we have all of these amazing sponsors, all these studios, all these networks, all these Fortune 500 companies.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot talked about the lack of what the industry is doing, but I do want to give a huge thank you shout out. If you go to disabilityfilmchallenge.com, one, watch the films. There's links to our YouTube page. We have 600 films starring and created by talented disabled artists. But also check out that sponsor tab. Those are unbelievable sponsors that are making us be able to do what we do. And in terms of the future, I just think we're going to continue to grow, because when we're producing our own content, and I can't take the credit, it's all the disabled community that deserves that credit. But people have been putting years and years of work into their skill sets as actors and writers and directors and cinematographers and producers. And through the film challenge, it's just been such an honor that they've been able to be like seen and discovered. Their films, a short film, all of a sudden has been spotlighted. We have mentors. Peter Farley was a mentor since the beginning. He watches the films. I mean, it's an amazing amount of films where I watch him and he's like, I love this film and I love that. He'll reference things. And, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, these are Oscar winners that are mentors. And, when you look at this movie, these roles are literally created, and people are thinking of the film challenge and participants because of the work. So it's been incredible. And I think the fact that we just have so many stories to tell really gives us a competitive advantage, because there still is a lack of representation and a lack of authentic stories. And the fact that we have so many talented film challenge participants really using the challenge as a platform to make their own films, we're only going to see more and more success stories. But, I always see the film challenge as a jump off point, because one, you own your own film, so you could submit it to all these other film festivals. But it's also about creating beyond. It's about turning your short into a web series, into a feature film. It's about, forming these super teams. It is like the MCU in the sense of, you work with one. We have our own MCU too.
It's so true. Wow. Oh, I didn't even put that together.
For anybody else listening and you're thinking to yourself, well, how do I get these kind of opportunities? I want this. We all want, whenever, we're, as disabled artists, we're all human. We all want everything that we see. And how do you get this? How do you get that? One, create as much as you can on your own. we also do, through the film challenge, we also do workshops. We did voiceover workshops. So, with this specifically, and Danielle Perez was also part of voiceover workshops, so she was on tape, and so that was something that's out there. So
Wow.
get in class, do as much as you can on your own too. So
Yeah.
do as much writing as you can on your own. Write, acting
Yeah.
classes, produce, create as much as you can, because you're going to get these opportunities, and the more you have, and the more you can, have your resume together, your recordings, it's going to help put you in a better position when you get the opportunity to audition, because certain times people will just put you in something, but also you're going to still have to audition and have materials and all
Yes.
those other things.
Yeah, having that material is just such a big tool in your career, especially. So the fact that, my first year we did not get a nomination, but I ended up getting representation. So that was a win enough for me too. There's just little things that you can do. I was not a producer. I never wrote my own pieces outside of, acting and theater. But just to get started is really the biggest step. So I'm also going to encourage people, if you're listening and this is something that speaks to you and excites you, run with that.
There's just so much talent. And I think one thing back to, something else that I think is cool is, like, look, you all are amputees, have limb
Mhm.
difference, but that it's so cool about the challenge is when we say disability, that is such a wide term in terms of how many different disabilities that encompasses. We have little people, blind, deaf, autism, Down syndrome, invisible disabilities. And so I love that we all kind of, in the sense, kind of work together. And I think we see so much beautiful diversity within our films because of that, and I just love that,
Yeah,
the films that you've made
absolutely.
have had so much diversity too within, of diversity
Thank
in
you.
terms of underrepresented communities, but also in terms of various different disabilities.
Yeah, I mean that's me as a person. I'm in that duality of having a physical disability you can see and a not a parent. I have lupus and I have, invisible, as they say, disabilities as well. So I think it's just so important to like cast the wide net and just go for anybody who's really interested, even the allies who are just like, I want to be a part of this. Say yes. Say yes to any part of it.
If I can, one last thing that I want to bring up is
Yeah,
that
go for it.
you
Please.
you have done such an incredible job sharing your films. So on top of being an amazing
Thank you.
actor, we have an awareness competition where you have to get as many likes, views, and shares for your films. And I think that this has, in many ways, been the most important piece of the film challenge, because it's encouraged people to share their films. As artists, we never want to share. I've been a comedian for over 22 years, and I rarely want to share my own personal clips because I'm like, I don't know, this joke isn't done yet, or this is what's wrong. I didn't like the way my shirt looked, or all these different things. But in reality, when you do share things, then it's going to lead to these opportunities.
Yeah.
So I think it is so important for people to share. It certainly has been something that has been widely successful for us, the awareness competition, in terms of not only getting awareness for the challenge, but for all these talented artists. That's how agents find talent. That's how
Yeah.
producers find talent, casting directors. That's how networks and studios. So beyond the film challenge, keep sharing your work. The world needs to see our stories.
Thank you so much. You're a comedian, but you're making me cry over here. Come on.
Ah.
That was so nice. Thank you, Nick. Well, I appreciate you being here so much, and hopefully we'll have you back on the show as time goes on. Anything else you want to share before we peace out?
No, I just want to say, make sure to check out all of Melanie's unbelievable films.
Reconnecting.
It is like back to the MCU. She's been webbed into a lot of films with Rachel Handler, and so make sure to watch those and how things cross
Yes.
together. And also watch Lee's film. He the Say What was great. As well. So
So
obviously
funny.
Rachel's
So
film
funny.
won this year the Best Writer award, but Lee, his film was nominated too, and so it was incredible. And your film was amazing, and received so much great feedback from our judges and support online from people. So make sure to go on YouTube. I'm going to do a nice little closing plug to
Absolutely.
watch
We'll
your
link them.
film.
We'll make sure they're linked. Oh, for sure. I'll make sure all the links are there for everybody to click through. But I really, again, appreciate you being here. Congrats again on the MCU and all the success with Disability Film Challenge.
Thank you.
Thanks.